Okay, so we're back. So you can see here I do have the red pieces here. Here's the individual ones. And then we have the green pieces here. All right, so right here there's about, I would say about 25 of the red pieces. So we're just going to join one at a time. So if you saw the previous tutorial of how to join the pieces, that'll be quite helpful. If you notice, there's the front side and then we have the back side. I like to hold them so that the front side is on my fingers because it's kind of a curved side here. Just makes it easier to hold. So we're going to put them together, and the front part right here, the top part, these are the little prongs, and in the back side there's these little pockets, and that's where the pieces fit together. So we're going to fit together here like this. All right, and as you're watching me put them together, I am going to glue the pieces so that you see what that looks like. So the two prongs here, gonna go ahead and glue here. And then we're just going to go to the next piece, side by side the pieces are, and then going to glue again. So there's two already connected here, and we're just going to continue until we get 5. So that's 3, and this is going to be 4. And then the 5th one, we're just going to turn it around like this, and we're going to connect it here. So this is what the back side looks like, and if we turn around, this is how it looks like when you get started. So you have 5 petals. So if a flower is going to bloom out, if you start with this and a flower is going to bloom out, this gives you the idea of what it would look like if it was going to bloom, to have petals. Okay, so now that we have it in place, I'm going to turn her around to this side. And before this next step, you do want to let the petals dry a little bit, because what we're going to do is form it so that we can have this shape of the blooming flower. So if you can see, this is forming kind of like a star, and this looks completely different, right? But I'm going to show you how we get from this to this. So we're going to take the ends of the petals and we're going to kind of force it a little bit, fold over. This is a little bit tricky. A lot of people don't like to do this part. I'm going to fold it like this, open it up, and that's how we get those budding flower looks. We're going to turn it around so that we can help form it. And we're going to form a point. And then when we turn it around, this is what it looks like. So for the next step, I'm going to turn it to the side. And now we're going to connect these. We're going to use other petals to connect it here. And we're going to go ahead and use glue. And we're just going to go around and start connecting. Keep going around until we get all 5 petals. All right, so we have all 5 petals connected. Going to help it along here to stay in place. So this is the second layer here. So if you look at this flower, this one had the first layer, second, and third layer. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. So this one has the first layer, second, and third, but because this is a little bit bigger flower than this one, I'm going to go ahead and add another layer to give it a better proportion. And we're going to do the same thing. And as you're going along, you can turn it upside down to keep the form, to make it a little bit easier. And we're going to start with the glue again and just add one more layer. Doesn't matter which side you start or which direction you go. You can start here and go to the left, go to the right, whatever is comfortable for you. As far as the glue, you can use any kind of glue. You can use the white glue, classic. I happen to be using the Elmer classic glue. It's the clear style, same as the white glue that we use in school. Same style, but you can use any brand, any type. If you want to use traditional paste, you can. There's some glues that come in purple where they dry, then they turn clear, and you can see where you're gluing, so you can see where it's gonna adhere. And then so here we go, we're done with the last grouping. So here's the budding flower. And I think this will be good for this particular one because it's a nice size, nice proportion. And as you can see, it didn't really take that many pieces. It took, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 red flowers. And there you go, you have a budding flower. So now we're going to join the stem, but before we get there, we're going to get the pseudo green leaves, as if the flower is going to bud and open up and you have the leaves underneath. That's what these are for. And we're going to go ahead and do this. Now, as you can see, the more layers we go, the flower pretty much takes the shape by itself. On the first layers, you do have to hold it together. And then once you feel comfortable of how many layers you want, then we can add the green leaves. So that's what we're going to do next. This does take a little bit of practice, but after you've tried a couple times, you got it. The first time I did this, I was all thumbs and it just popped and flew apart, and I just had to give it a good try. I tried to do this without gluing, and honestly, I couldn't do it. And so I said, you know, I'm just going to glue to keep it together, and that's what I started to do ever since. All right, now we got the leaves part. And as you can see, it has just the right size opening here so we can fit a stem. So this is a larger version of this one. And then now we're going to work on the stem. So for the stem, we're going to take the wire. It's just regular floral wire that you could buy at any hobby shop store. Or any of the big box stores, you can do that. So what I go by is the circumference here to see how thick or big we want the stem to be. And as we saw on this stem, so it starts a little bit wide and it kind of tapers down. Try to make it look as natural as possible. But you get to pick and you decide how thick you want the stem to be. So I happen to just get regular paper towels, a roll paper in a roll, and I just gather a few sheets, and I'm just going to cut it in strips because we're going to use the white piece of paper just the same way that you would use flower tape. Honestly, it's when you see what I'm doing, honestly, it doesn't, the thickness, it's just a matter of about as wide as you want it to be, because basically all I'm going to do is fold this over and I'm just going to twist it. So whatever is convenient for you, I just try to make it as thin as possible, the strips, to kind of duplicate what you would do with flowering tape, which when we wrap it, you'll see what I mean. So the next step we're going to do is get some glue on the paper. And we're just going to set it over, and I just fold it over like this. I'm going to fold it over a couple times, and then basically all we're going to do is twist. And then there you go, you have a little bit thicker stem. And so what I do is like to test it out to see what it looks like. So when you notice this is still not thick enough, so we're going to add a little extra. And that's where this one comes along. Add a little bit of glue. And this is how we can thicken it up, just like as if you were going to use flower tape. And we're just going to wrap it that way. And then you're going to notice it's going to be thicker. And then all we're going to do is twist it. Now you notice I didn't wrap the whole stem, and I did that on purpose so that when we're going to place it in the flower arrangement, we can use this part to place it in the flowering sponge that people use, or that styrofoam. It just makes it a little bit easier when you're trying to poke through and reset it. Then when it's covered with the paper, it just kind of smushes it when you do that. So I just make it a little bit easier. Also, if I need to make adjustments on the length when I am placing the flowers in the arrangement, we can adjust it that way, clip it off wherever we need to. All right, so this is a good size for the actual stem part. Now we're going to check the flower part here. So it's pretty good. We just need a little bit extra towards the end here. And we're just going to use a little piece here. Don't need really that much. And then we're going to put a little glue. And I'm just going to follow along here and then wrap it up. And now you can see it's a little thicker. And there we go. We are ready to add the floral tape, and then we'll adhere it to the actual budding flower. So here's some flowering tape, and you're just going to follow along and wrap it, just starting from the end here. And it's going to go a little bit tight, and as you're wrapping this flowering tape has a little bit of stickiness on it, so as you're wrapping it, it'll adhere by itself. It does warm up a little bit with your fingers, So I'm just going to wrap it, and I am wrapping it a little bit tight so it just holds on, and I am overlapping so you get that nice green color over the white. I'm just going to keep going along until we get to the end. And then on this part, we're going to check the flour, make sure how it is. So pretty good. Just going to thicken it up a little bit here. And then we're just going to finish it up. And because as it's warm, it's sticky, it'll just stick towards the end. And then this part right here, you can leave a little bit of the white because when you add the glue to it to add it to the budding flower, it's just an extra section to help keep it put and help adhere at the end of the inner side of the flowering bud. Alrighty, so the last step is to add glue to the stem. Insert in the bud. And just going to hold it there for a few seconds. Of course, this is for demonstrations purposes only so that you can see what it looks like. And you are all done. You have your budding flower. And so what we'll do is we're just going to let it sit there. Just give it a good 15 minutes or so to make sure it's completely dry. I happen to use plenty of glue in there. And there you go. Before you know it, you do a few of them and you can have a full bouquet of budding flowers. Well, I thank you so much for visiting me today with Folds of Papery. Hopefully you enjoyed the budding flower tutorial. If you'd like to also subscribe, you can take a look and see all the other tutorials that we have in this series of how to create your own floral arrangement. And thank you so much again, and happy folding. Take care.